Okay, I'm back. As you can see, you see the garage door and the front door. And anyway, um, let me go back over a few of the moves. Um, Move number one, it was our little trailer that we had. And move number two was his parents. We went from there to his parents. Then move number three, we moved into the government apartment. And then move number four, we moved back in with my parents. That's when I had our son. Move number five, we moved back in with his parents and were there until we moved when he started settling the insurance. So we moved number six. Number seven, we moved to our friend's house. And then number eight, we moved to his parents' house again in the government apartments. Number nine, we got our own apartment. And we lived there for a little bit. He went to summer camp. And I was really sad because he was gone. He had to be away for 2 weeks. So I was really sad and very lonely. We didn't have cable TV again. And of course my baby, he kept me laughing. He was so cute. He was a year old then, and he was just at a real fun stage. So he kept me entertained a lot, but I was still, real lonely. And so I wanted to go and visit my parents. So I called my dad and I was crying and I said, no, I called my mom. I said, I really need to come visit. I'm very depressed. He's going to be gone, for several days still. And I want to come visit, but I don't have any transportation because at that time our car was broke down. The hood was messed up. There was another problem with it that, I couldn't drive. So I didn't have any transportation. So my stepdad came and he picked me up and the baby. And he took us, the whole time we're riding in the vehicle, he's fussing at me about all of our bad decisions and us moving and, everything that we did wrong. He was fussing. And I cried and I told him that I couldn't help it, that I was in a situation that, what was I to do? I asked him, I said, do you want me to leave him and move back in with y'all and y'all take care of me? What do you want? And, he finally let up and everything, but I still, I felt so bad. I felt like, nobody understood. They would always fuss at me when they should be talking to him because he was the one that was making all the decisions, not me. And yes, I wanted to move to my friend's place because I felt that maybe they could teach him something. Maybe he would listen to his best friend, maybe he would grow up a little bit. But it didn't happen. So anyway, I was at their home for a while. We had a good time. It was summer and they had a little pool and we played with, well, he was a toddler then, and he brought a lot of joy and fun to everybody. So things were not real, the friction wasn't as bad that time. So his parents had come to the town. His parents had come to the town for a weekend visit. And so I thought, well, I will ride back with them uh, to keep my dad from having to make the trip. So um, they came and picked us up, and I get into the back seat of their car, and I was flabbergasted, to say the least. Um, the floorboard was rusted out, and you could see the highway below my feet. So I'm thinking, what have I got myself into? I had to hold my child in my lap with my feet up in the seat, stretched out, because it terrified me to see the ground under my feet like that. And the other side was that way too. And I sat there staring at the floor, looking at the highway, and I started crying. And I buried my face into the back of my baby's head. And I'm praying, God, just get us home safe. I was scared the whole car was going to fall out from under me because it was in such bad shape. And it wasn't their fault. I mean, I think their bad choices got them in that situation. Um, but, they were both sweet people. And I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying, I'm like, what is my life going to be like? What have I done? You know, I didn't know what to do. And I just cried. And they asked me what was wrong, and I told them that I was missing, their son, and that I was just emotional. So anyway, um, we made it home, and Jack, my ex, got there. He came back from his summer camp, and I had such a good time with my parents at that time. I hated living in the apartments we were living at, and I begged him to take me back home. And, you know, he did. He could have told me, things will get better, hang in there, I'm sorry that you're going through this, um, you know, let me pray with you. Uh, he could have done some other things to encourage me, but he was, okay, we'll move. We'll move back to your parents. So we did. And we started paying them when he found a job. We started paying him a little bit, paying them a little bit. So, um, we stayed there for a little while, and I got pregnant again. I hated so bad to tell my parents that I was pregnant. And, but, you know, he would beg me to let him, get away with using protection. Yes, I could have gone and got, birth control pills. Um, but I don't remember why I didn't. Um, I think it was just, I don't know. I don't think I even cared, you know. But anyway, I got pregnant again. And we got he found a good job. And I was thrilled that he had a good job. And so we got our own little place, and we had cable, and we had a phone, and I was so happy to have some kind of connection outside of the four walls we were living in. So we lived there. Well, let me back up because I missed a move. We moved, our 11th move was in an apartment. It was a block building, and we lived there for a little while, and um, it was just, I don't know, it was not a good place. It sweated on the inside, it had mildew, mold. So we found this other place and moved in it. And he was working um, to where he would work 21 days and he would be off 10 days. And so I didn't have a car though. Our car finally died. So I didn't have a car. And I would have to use my mother's car when I needed to go run errands or go to the doctor or, things like that. So, um, which I was happy. I had my own place, I had some TV, I had a phone, so I was happy. So, the job that he had, um, they had a big layoff. And it was actually right after our second child was born. It was a boy. We had two boys now. So the layoff was going to be for 3 months. And we didn't know what we were going to do. So he called his sister. She lived in Texas. He called her and she flew us out there. And we started staying with her. And uh, her husband helped him get a job and in the oil industry. And she bought us a Volkswagen. And we were thrilled to have a vehicle finally again. So we moved about 80 miles from them. And I had two little boys. I stayed home with them. And his sister helped us get groceries and different things that we needed to get started because we had nothing. We didn't take anything to Texas with us. And she bought us some beds, a baby bed. Um, what we had for living room furniture was two lawn chairs, and we didn't even have a kitchen table. I had a high chair, and so anyway, we managed. We were fine. I was fine. Uh, I didn't have TV again, and I didn't have a phone. So the apartments we were living in were really nice. They had a pool, and I would go every day, and well, not every day, but I would go to the pool in the afternoons with the babies. And I met a young girl there that loved the kids, and she wanted to play with them all the time. And she would come to our apartment and she would play with them. So it gave me a little bit of a break uh, during the day to have her there and to entertain them. And um, but I was I was depressed again. I was miserable. I missed being in my hometown. My life was not like everybody else's that we knew. Um, Here we were on our, um, goodness, I missed several moves. Um, we were on our 18th move at that time, and we had only been married a couple of years, and we had moved 18 times. Um, so I was very unhappy. I was unhappy with him, and I hated my life. Our little boys got sick and running high fevers, both of them. So we didn't have any money. Um, we took them, we went to the pawn shop and pawned off our wedding rings to take them to the doctor. They both had strep throat and was really, really sick, and we didn't have insurance, so we had to buy their medicine, and um, every bit of the money that we got for our rings went towards the doctor visit and medicine. I think we had a little bit left over when we went to McDonald's and got a hamburger or something. So anyway, I was real upset with him, mainly because he was still making bad decisions. Um, if we had a little bit of money left over after we bought groceries, whatever, we would spend it on riding the roads, going out to eat. Um, we ate out more than we ate at home. He hated being confined in the inside. He always wanted to go and see things and do things. And he he was just not a homebody. He could not stand sitting in the house. And I wasn't going to sit in the house. If he was going to go, I'm going along. So that was not my fault. Um, anyway, I became really depressed, and I called my mother, crying my eyes out. I wanted to go home so bad. And his sister and her husband were going to make a trip from Texas to Alabama. And I, told my husband, I said, I'm going. I'm going with them. And so, he went too. He took off of work and he went too. And there were 7 of us in I think they had a Grand Prix car. And there was, 7 of us in this car. Anyway, we made the trip back. I was scared to death the whole time because I didn't like her husband at all. And so we made the trip back, and I was going to stay a couple of weeks. And he went back with them, and he couldn't stand it. He could not stand us being gone. He quit his job, and he left the car behind and took a bus back to Alabama. And when he got back, I was so upset with him for doing that. And I was ready to get a divorce. I wanted a better life. I was tired of I was just tired of our life because we could not settle down anywhere. He ruined our credit. And when you ruin your credit, you have zero. You can't borrow any money. You can't, you know, you got to have some way to um, if we hadn't have lost our trailer, the first place we lived, we would have still been living there. I would have still had my job. Probably a baby's, somebody keeping my kids, or they're in school, nursery school. Things would have been so different. We would have been normal. We would have been like all our friends, everybody that was paying on their home, and their lives were normal. Our lives was not ever normal. But I had no choice. I couldn't move back home and leave him. I could have, and I should have, but my mother and my stepdad didn't want to help me. They felt that I shouldn't have married him, and they tried to tell me, but I wouldn't listen. So anyway, we're back in Alabama, and my parents, they fussed at me all the time, and I could never do anything right. They wanted us to pay them rent, and which I knew that I should pay them rent money, but we didn't have the money. We didn't have a car. We we didn't have anything. So we stayed with them for a little while. They decided to let us buy a car they had, and I was so thankful because I don't know why they did that, but they did. I guess they felt sorry for us. Anyway, we were buying the car that they gave us, and um, we I think he went back to work with this company that had that shut down. I can't remember where he was working, to be honest with you, but he I don't really remember what happened. We were living in a trailer, and um, we were buying the car, and the trailer that we were renting was having some electrical problems. And instead of him calling the owner to fix the problem, he called a friend of his that was doing electrical work, and we live out in the country. So if you heard the gunshots, that's just somebody target practicing. It's not, and it's like way away from us. Anyway, um, we were living in this trailer, and he called the friend of his to do the electrical work. Well, he didn't pay this person. He told this person to call the owner to give him a bill. Well, the owner refused to pay it. So, you know, it embarrassed me very badly. This person we went to church with a while back, and we, you know, he wasn't going to pay the bill. So anyway, we decided to go back to Texas, and his sister um, was living in a different place, and we drove all the way to Texas, and we were, he got a job working offshore, so he was working 21 days again, or 20 days, and he was off 10, or it was something like that. So I was staying with his sister and her husband, and he got drunk one night and was taking some kind of pills, and tried to come in my bedroom. He kept banging on my door, telling me that he wanted me to come out because he wanted to show me how much he loved me. And I'm scared to death. And I'm saying, leave me alone. I don't want to come out of my bedroom. Well, he kept on and kept on. And my sister-in-law was just either ignoring him or she was sound asleep. And so the baby woke up, started crying. So I didn't have a choice. I had to go in there and get the baby a bottle. And I did. And he happened to be on the phone with my husband's grandmother. And he was just going on and on, telling her that nobody believed how much he loved us, and he worked hard, and you know, he said that I didn't want anything to do with him, and that he wanted to show me how much he loved me, and he handed me the phone, and she told me, she said, "You get back in your room and you lock the door and you do not come out again." So I did. I went in there, and it really, literally scared the mess out of me. I had to go to the bathroom so bad. My stomach was rolling and hurting, and I could hear him in the kitchen. Just, it sounded like he was tearing it apart. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I had to go in the garbage can, and that's how bad it scared me. I was too afraid to come out of my room to go to the bathroom. So I kept laying there thinking, okay, if he comes in here or tries to get in here again, I'm going to climb out the window and take my kids, and I'm going to go up to the neighbors and call the police. And he finally settled down. But it scared me so bad that I told my husband when he came back, I said, we've got to get our own place. Um, I can't do this. So we did. We moved into another trailer, and it was okay. I made some friends finally, and it was kind of a poverty-stricken trailer park, and I wasn't happy with it, but I made do. I made do with it, and so anyway, Jack's parents um, moved out there, and they had a well, I'm going to stop this because I said a name that I shouldn't have. So I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to